All right, so let's have a little quick look at the lymph system. So you've got a better idea of how the lymphatic system and the lymph works. A little bit of AMP, anatomy and physiology. I promise I won't bore you. It'll be quick, very quick. Now, okay, so to look at the lymphatic system, we looked at the lymphatic system really has been the poor cousin, really, to the circulatory system. Everyone knows about the circulatory system, the heart and all that sort of stuff. Now, in fact, Hippocrates realised we had a lymphatic system way back, 500 BC. But it wasn't until about 1700s when they could actually open up cadavers that they started to learn more about it and map it. Okay, let's get back to the circulatory system. Right, you got your heart. Now, the circulatory system, unlike the lymph system, as you'll learn, is a loop, all right? The heart pumps out through the arterial system, so the heart pumps blood out through the arteries into smaller vessels, which are then arterioles, which go down to capillaries, all right? The capillaries are cells, one cell thick, and this is where all the exchange of nutrients and oxygen goes into your tissues, known as your interstitial tissues. Righto, so that blood goes out of the arteries, arterioles, so it's like a branch, imagine a trunk of a tree being the artery, and then, or arteries, trees, and then the branches, arterioles, and then it gets smaller and smaller right to the capillaries. The capillaries is where is the exchange backwards and forwards. So once it goes out with the oxygen-rich blood and nutrients, that sort of thing, goes into the interstitial tissues, and then there it goes. Now, once it's done its thing, given the nutrition and the oxygen, etc., comes back in through the capillaries, through the venous system. That's right. Not back through the arterioles, it'd be a hole, So we got to go back through the venules, smaller ones, up into the veins, and back we go. But there's a problem. You see, what happens is, it doesn't all go back. It doesn't. Some are left behind in the interstitial tissues. That's right. They go, where did everyone go? That's right. About 15% that's gone out gets stuck. Well, not stuck, just doesn't go back in. So this is where our friend, the lymph system, comes in. He says, don't you worry about that. Don't you worry your pretty little head. You can come with me. And so what happens is the lymph system has what's called initial lymphatics, which are the little gateways, just like the capillaries of the circulatory system. When there's too much pressure on the outside, these little filaments open up, whoop, in you come. And this interstitial fluid is no longer called it's in the lymphatic vessels now, and they call it lymph. All right, so that's what your lymph fluid is. Now, the other really interesting thing is the lymphatic system being really your waste disposal system. So now, the capillaries, of course, super tiny. Well, the gates that open up for the lymph system are 5 to 6 times bigger. So they're massively bigger than what the capillaries allow. So there are things like proteins that can't get in. The big fatties. The proteins are like, hey, I can't get in through the capillary system. So lymphatic says, don't you worry, little roundy. You can come with me. My gates are much bigger. In you come. And in it go, these proteins. Now, interestingly enough, see what happens is, when the pressure in the interstitial tissues gets too much, too much pressure, it opens up the gates and in they come. All right? Interestingly enough, proteins are hydrophilic. It means they attract water. So lots of proteins attracting water in your tissues, fluid-filled tissues, edema. Right. Now, so if the pressure gets too much, it opens the walls. But the other thing that can open these filaments to allow the fluid to come in. So when we're talking viruses, we're talking bacteria, we're talking cancer cells, proteins, as I say, waste products, debris, that goes in through the lymph system. It is literally cleaning up your body and your system. So it's said to you, whether it's pressure on the outside doing it, or if the lymphatic vessels are stretched. You might want to remember that, because that's very important when it comes to what we're actually doing through this whole course. Yes, the stretch will initiate the filaments to open up and then bring that in to become more lymph. And that's manual lymphatic drainage in a nutshell, we will stretch, and I will teach you to stretch those lymphatic vessels, which opens up the filaments and then allows more in. So we're creating more lymph, and we are going to speed up the lymphatic, potentially 20 times faster than it would be normally. That's pretty impressive. Well, please don't forget to like my video if you liked it, and subscribe if you would like to. If you want to learn more about my courses, you can go to my website, markperrenjones.com.